once I got a separation and a divorce, she had a little bit of freedom. And then she started kind of going wild. Most of her friends were kind of the bad kids, the wild kids. She would hang out after school in middle school and smoke pot. And she would shoplift a lot. She ran away a lot. She would go out and sneak off, and I'd have to get off work and go chasing after her, and it was really a bad scene. We had a lot of fights. She had always been really musically, naturally talented, and I got her a piano, and she started to just play. She was into satanic stuff. She wrote these hideous poems about murder and just scary poems. Scary things she would draw and write. Had a good feeling about it, like maybe something good would happen to Bipsy if she went there. So I told her she was going to go with Isaac and Helen to this camp. And she was like, no, I'm not. You can't make me. And I was like, well, you're going. And she said, well, I'll hate you for the rest of your life if you make me go. And I said, okay, you're still gonna go. So I don't have any choice. You've left me no choice. So I remember when I left her there, she was giving me this god-awful glare. And she had black hair, and she had two blue sides to her black hair. And it was kind of, she was just scowling at me, and I'll always remember that face.
and she showed me Jesus, the one with a wound in his side. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Be all else but not to me, save that thou art. Be thou my best thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light.
One day I get this letter, and even the handwriting had changed, telling me how she'd gotten saved. And it just was a wonderful letter, and it was so beautiful. And then the next time I talked to her, she didn't even sound the same. And she came back from that camp a different person, and she never looked back. She was on fire for God from then on.
I first met Bipsy at church when I had just gotten saved, and she was really one of the first people that reached out and helped encourage me during my walk with God and helped me open up to reading the Bible. She was very happy-go-lucky and was just one of those people that wanted to reach out and help people feel welcome. She also was really passionate about her love for the Lord, and it wasn't just music and worshiping at church throughout the week, and on Sundays it was anywhere from just on a daily basis she would be out reaching out to people in her personal life. I remember her boss, Gabriel Castillo, who was at the time partying all the time, and he's actually a good friend of mine. Later, because of her just coming to work reading the Bible and just being joyful and loving, is now a full-time minister for the Lord, and him and his family, and just a complete turnaround for God.
So I'm inviting you inside, set the table, pour the wine, light the candles, start the fire. Someone's gonna die, and though the rain leaks through the roof, and all the cobwebs are removed, it's a new day. There's new life inside of me. This heart is torn apart.
She never had music lessons. People tried to teach her, but she never learned to read music. They would try to teach her because they knew how talented she was, and yet she just played by ear. She would composed these beautiful songs, even as a young kid. And after she got saved, her talent just grew. She started writing all this beautiful music. And I remember just hearing it coming out of our little house. We moved out in the country after the divorce into this little tiny house, and it was just full of her music. That's just a memory that I have.
Always worshiping God, always full of the joy of the Lord and full of the Holy Spirit, and well, she always gave the credit to the Lord, and really had a big change in life, because before she had the Lord, she was just a completely different person.
They were working as youth volunteers at their church, went on mission trips, going out downtown, feeding people.
He was very controlling. He would not let her see her family very much. It was really a lot of trouble for my wife and I to have to go through to get them to come by so that we could see Bipsy, or to get a chance to hang out with Bipsy after that. Before she dated him, we were very much inseparable, but now we saw less and less of her. We didn't like the fact that she was dating him. Mickey's religious beliefs were different. They were based on keeping the 10 Commandments, especially the Sabbath. She told me once that Mickey was terrified of even pumping gas on a Saturday, and when he did pump gas on a Saturday once, he felt as if God was angry at him. That's not what Bipsy believed. That's not what she knew. One Christmas, my parents and I, we'd given Bipsy some Christmas presents, and she returned to the door days later with the Christmas presents and returned them. She was in tears, actually. She didn't want to have to return the gifts, and she was choking back tears, and she was miserable, but he had forced her to do it, and he had told her that she needed to do it to be free of the pagan influence of our family because of celebrating Christmas. And those were the kind of rules and things that he lived by that were very different from, what the Bible teaches about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. After Bipsy died, we found in her room boxes and boxes of books and DVDs and tapes that Mickey had given her. Not Bibles, nothing biblical, but things from his group to sort of make her come around to his way of thinking. And she found him to be very spiritual, but then later she became disenfranchised with it. She started reading beliefs that the group taught, and she personally chose not to accept it anymore. The terrible thing about all this was I really think that it could have been avoided if Mickey had only understood the idea of grace. What grace is, the kind of grace that saved Bipsy, that made her a loving person instead of a judgmental person. When you establish your life on a rigid sort of self-righteousness like that, you make it all about you and not about God's grace. As the truth about what happened to Bipsy came out in the trial, when a person passes on and the details of their life come out, sometimes there are embarrassing things, there are skeletons in the closet. But with Bipsy, what happened, it was amazing. She was a hero of the story from beginning to end. She had tried to break up with Mickey. She made a big mistake by doing that in private. He couldn't handle that she wouldn't marry him. He'd been pressuring her to have sex with him. He'd been pressuring her to marry him quickly. He struck her, he assaulted her. After that, he didn't want to let her leave the van that they were sitting in, even after what he had done. She cared enough about him to say, we'll get counseling for you, we'll get help for you, we'll try to cleanse your soul from this awful thing that you've done, but you have to let me go. And she did everything she could to get out.
In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song.
She wouldn't want to be thought of as a hero or sort of an idol for people to talk about how wonderful she was, because she knew that without Jesus she was nothing, and she would always say that all the good things about her came from God, the things that God had done in her life to save her life and transform her. I think Bipsy would want people to learn from her mistakes, to be careful who they're in a relationship with. I had one last conversation with Bipsy before she died on the phone. I asked her if she still planned on getting married, and we talked a little bit about her faith and Mickey's faith and how they weren't the same. And she said to me that she had decided to stick with what God had originally showed her and what she had read in the Bible. She had decided to recommit to her original faith. I think that conversation was a gift from God. I think that it was a way to know that she never compromised. She never gave up the truth that she had always known, right until the end.
No power of hell, no scheme of man could ever pluck me from his hand, till he returns and calls me home. Here in the power of Christ I stand.